Are we ready? First of all, thank you all for being here. It's been a long day. I'm very fortunate to have this congressional delegation join me here in my home state of Louisiana. I'm Troy Carter, proudly representing Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. I'm honored to have from my right to left the ranking member of Homeland Security with me, Congressman Benny Thompson. We're fortunate to have United Senator, United States Senator Ed Markey for the great state of Massachusetts. We have to my immediate left Jim McGovern from the great state of Massachusetts as well. Further left we have the Honorable Congresswoman Diana Presley from the great state of Massachusetts. And to the very far left we have Alana Odom from ACLU of Louisiana. For the last several hours, we have had the opportunity to visit Mr. Khalil, to visit with Miss Britta, with Mr. Mrs. Ozark and Jasmine Hammer, to visit with them, to talk about conditions, concerns, and to let them know that we stand firm with them in support of free speech. To know that when you disagree with someone under our Constitution and our rule of law, it's not illegal. We have protections under the Constitution that allows us to speak out from our communications with these individuals. They're frightened. They're concerned. They want to go home. They're happy to see that members of Congress are here to listen, to take good notes, to go back to Washington, to work with local communities and to work with our federal government to ensure that due process is granted, health care is provided, and fairness is the rule of day. We will continue to work together in that vein to make sure that no one, whether it's on a college campus or walking down the street, is arrested, detained, or deported simply for exercising their free speech. I'm happy to be here with my colleagues and friends. I'll now turn it over to our ranking member of Homeland Security, Chairman Benny Thompson.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here as the ranking Democrat on Homeland Security for a number of reasons. First of all, our job is to go out wherever our jurisdiction is and look and see whether things are being done correctly. So our visit to the two facilities here in Louisiana is what you call oversight. That means you come, look at what's going on, talk to not just the people who work in the facility, but the people who are housed in the facility. You ask questions. Obviously, you ask the same question to both people to see what kind of answers you get. So clearly, we've gotten a lot of answers, but we still have a lot of questions to go after this visit. So we look forward to going back to Washington, pulling people together and talking about this so-called crisis in immigration in this country. Whether it's real or it's something that's manufactured without the process of law or the rule of law going forward. So it's been a wonderful, eventful tour of the two facilities. Actually, the operators of the facility have made it available to us. ICE has had their professional staff here to talk to us, to answer the questions, and that's important. I don't think they could have kept us out, by the way, but it's important that we talk to all the partners who are involved in this process of immigrants in this country. So we're here. I look forward. The other colleagues here have special significance because they have someone from their respective district and state who's a high-profile person held in one of the facilities. So we wanted to hear about that too. So I'll come and give a mic to Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts.
And on that note, of course, Wendy is from my district, from the West Bank of New Orleans, and was detained while going for a routine checkup with ICE. She is a mother of 3, married to American. Her children were all born in the United States, and we'll be following her case very, very, very closely.
Thank you, Congressman Carter. Thank you for hosting us today. Thank you, Ranking Member Thompson, and my colleagues from Massachusetts, Congresswoman Presley, Congressman McGovern. We're here because you've heard the stories. It's a national disgrace what is taking place. We met today with Mahmoud Khalil. We just met with Ramessa Oster. Both of them are right now being imprisoned here in Louisiana. They are not being charged with a crime. There is no evidence that could convict them of a crime. ICE just feels, through the Trump administration, that they have a right to take people from across our country and to put them into facilities like this here in Louisiana. Ramessa Oster was peacefully walking down the street of Somerville, Massachusetts, when she was abducted by 6 plainclothes law enforcement officers, moved to New Hampshire, moved to Vermont, and then brought here to Louisiana, 1,500 miles from Somerville, Massachusetts. And why did they do that? They've done that in order to go to the single most conservative circuit court of appeals in the United States of America. They are seeking to circumscribe the constitutional rights of Ramessa Oster, of Mahmoud Khalil, and from my observation of these 2 facilities, from many other people who are incarcerated here in Louisiana. The very point of what they're doing is to make these people examples of those who the Trump administration wants to make examples of. That's why we're here. Hours from the New Orleans airport, 1,500 miles from Somerville, Massachusetts, to talk about Ramessa Oster. So we met with her today. She has suffered multiple asthma attacks. Without question, in the course of our day's conversations with the prisoners here, they are not getting the medical attention which they need and deserve in this facility. There's no question about it. Notwithstanding that, Ramessa continues to have a spirit. She continues to have a sense of right that fuels her very being. And we were just privileged to be with her and some of the other prisoners that are being detained here. So when it comes to Ramessa, here's the truth. She is being detained in violation of the First Amendment right to free speech. The First Amendment right to free speech is not expendable. She is here in violation of the Fifth Amendment right of due process. The Fifth Amendment is not expendable. In fact, both of those amendments are indispensable for the protection, not just of them, but for all of us. Because when those constitutional protections are eroded, the protections of all of us are eroded. That is where stand right now at a turning point in American history. The Constitution is being eroded by the day by the Trump administration. They have no respect for it, and we saw today here in these detention centers in Louisiana examples of how far the Trump administration is willing to go in terms of violating hard-won constitutional protections. So we sent a message to Ramessa and to all of those detainees that we met over the course of today. We are with them. We're going to have their back. We're going to tell their story. And we're going to make sure that the Trump administration is made accountable for what they are doing to thousands of people in our country in absolutely truncating their constitutional rights. So it's been my honor to be here with my two colleagues from the state of Massachusetts here to bear witness to what has been happening. And first, let me just recognize the ranking member of the Rules Committee and the House of Representatives.
You know, all day today I've been asking myself the same question. What is happening to our country? We're not in El Salvador. We're not in Russia. We're not in China. We're in the United States of America. And yet there are people who are incarcerated in detention centers, not because they committed any crime, but because of what they believe, what they've written. This is not the United States of America. I mean, everybody's entitled to free speech. We met with Ramesha Ozturk and Mahmoud Khalid. Again, neither of them committed any crimes. They've been charged with nothing. And in Ramesha's case, all she did was write an op-ed piece. That was it. And because somebody in Donald Trump's administration didn't like it, she's here in this detention facility 1,000 miles away from where she was studying in Massachusetts. Both of these individuals are political prisoners. They don't belong here. And I think, we are hearing from constituents in our districts. We're hearing from people all across the country who are outraged by what is happening. This is not about enforcing the law. This is moving us toward an authoritarian state. I really worry that this administration is ushering in a new era of McCarthyism. And unless Congress and unless the American people stand up and push back, they will succeed. They will succeed in destroying our democracy. They will succeed in destroying what people all around the world admire about the United States of America. And so, I'm ashamed. And I mean, words fail me to adequately describe how upset and how disturbed I am by what is happening, not only to these two individuals and to others, but what is happening to our country. And I think all of us here, are dedicated to fighting back in any way we can to make sure that, again, the best of our country doesn't get destroyed. Thank you.
Well, just another day in Donald Trump's America. Donald Trump and his anti-freedom agenda that means to control our very bodies, that means to control the books we read, that means to control the free press, that means to control free speech. My colleagues and I are here to conduct some real-time oversight. This administration asserts that they do these things in the name of law and order when they are rogue and lawless. We're here to conduct oversight. I'm going to lift up some names. I wish I could center every name that I heard today, but I'll certainly carry their stories with me. I'm not just here because I call this country my home. I'm not just here because I'm a Democrat. I'm not just here to affirm due process and constitutional rights and human rights. I'm here because I'm a human being who gives a damn about other human beings. Each person that we met today is a person connected to a family, connected to a community. You know, the people we met today, people that are artists, people that are teachers, people who have been working in other countries to usher in democracy, to fight for human, worker, and civil rights. And they are astonished by what they are experiencing and bearing witness to every day. Mahmoud Khalil has lived in Syria under Assad. He knows what an authoritarian regime looks like. And he says, this is it. This is it. The women that we just met in here at Bazille have questioned if God has forgotten about them, if the world has forgotten about them. And we're here to let them know that we have not forgotten about them and we are fighting for them. Rumeysa Ozturk was kidnapped. She was kidnapped and taken from the incredible, close-knit, diverse community of Somerville, then taken to Lawrence, Massachusetts, then taken to Atlanta, then taken to Louisiana. It was Ramadan. She was on her way to an iftar about to break her fast. She was hungry and denied food. She was thirsty and denied water. She was manhandled. She was shackled. She was denied the opportunity to seek legal counsel, to call her attorneys. Disappeared. Abducted from her life and her family and the community that she's known and the important work that she was doing at Tufts University as a PhD student. Why? For co-authoring an op-ed to affirm the humanity of all people. Mahmoud Khalil, his work was about fighting for freedom for everyone and equality for everyone. Again, fighting to center the humanity and the dignity of all people. His first child was born this morning at 3 a.m. His son, a blessing, beautiful. But what a miscarriage of justice, that he was deprived and denied his rights as a civil detainee, as a human being, to be there for the birth of his son. His wife is a U.S. citizen, a dentist. And when he was accosted, they said they were doing so because of a visa issue. He didn't have a visa. He's a green card holder. Then they referenced that he was born in Algeria. He was not born in Algeria. They have no idea why they are disappearing people from society other than because Marco Rubio said to do so. There's no evidence of finding. There's no evidence of criminal wrongdoing. They've been convicted of no crime. They were just living their lives and making positive contributions in society every single day. It is shameful, and it is a sham. It is shameful, and it is a sham. And we're here to tell this administration, who's operating with abuse of power, that it will not go unchecked. We are putting them on notice. And we want Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeysa Ozturk, Jasmine, Wendy, and every other person we met today to know that we will never stop fighting for their freedom, for their justice, and for fairness. And then finally, I'll just say this. If anyone is tempted to marginalize who they are coming for and to other this and to say that's happening to them, but not I, it could be you tomorrow. They are setting the foundational floor to violate the due process and free speech of every person who calls this country home, whatever your status is. It could be you tomorrow for suffering a miscarriage. It could be you tomorrow for reading a banned book. It could be you tomorrow for practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion. It could be you tomorrow for exercising free speech. We are better than this. I reject this draconian vision for this country that Donald Trump has. He is a dictator. And the only way to beat a dictator is with defiance. And that's why we're here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Today, this delegation bore witness to something that should never be ordinary: the caging of human bodies. It took courage for this delegation to come to Louisiana to witness this atrocity. I want to give honor and respect to Ranking Member Benny Thompson and to my congressman for his leadership, consistent leadership, and demonstrating the value of human life, not just Louisianians, but the human life of all people in this nation. I also want to say thank you so much to this amazing delegation from Massachusetts. Your courage and your ability to stand here and speak truth. You, in fact, are bringing truth to power, because those incarcerated people never have the opportunity to speak with members of Congress, with senators. And from my experience, 17 years working in this state is not my home, but it has been my home for 17 years. I've raised my daughter here, and I've seen some of the most epic civil rights battles take place on this very soil. Voting rights battles, civil rights battles with regard to incarceration, because Louisiana is a state that disappears people. Louisiana is the highest incarcerator in the world. Pre-trial incarceration, post-conviction incarceration, immigrant detention, mass deportation and detention. It is no surprise that your constituents are here with us in Louisiana. And despite those ignoble distinctions of first in everything bad and last in everything good, we are a proud people. We are a people who know our value. We are a people whose rights have been violated for far too long. And what I want folks to understand is that the carceral system are essentially two sides of the same coin. Mass deportation and detention and mass incarceration. They are on a spectrum. And Michelle Alexander will tell you this if you've read her. My colleague here has spoken about this. This is what we have to understand. Do not think of this. Do not try to put this in a box. Yes, we have two wonderful young people, full of life, full of future promise, and their rights, abducted, brought here, kidnapped. And yet, they represent merely the tip of the iceberg. There are 7,000 people, not detained, that's a euphemism. They are caged and warehoused and locked away in private prisons in the state of Louisiana. There are 9 of them. 4 of them are run by this private prison operator called Geo Group. The 2 facilities that we visited today are run by Geo Group. Geo Group in 2024 profited $2.34 billion for locking up bodies. 41% of that profit came from ICE contracts. We're not talking about public safety. We're talking about profit. Hear us and hear us well. We want the American people to see this cruelty. If it walks like a prison, if it talks like a prison, if it looks like a prison, it's a prison. And our people are being locked away, and we should give a damn. We have to. So the call to action is this. We must divest from private prison industry that has built this state, but not just this state. It's built this nation. Yes, the American South suffers the vestiges of slavery and dominates this nation in incarceration, but the epidemic of incarceration exists all over this America, all over this United States. We must divest from it. We must put people over prisons. And we must remember, as was pointed out here today, that it could be any one of us. The fact that we've come here today and I've called them courageous is because we will likely be targeted. We will likely be surveilled. We will likely be harassed. We will be spoken about in private rooms where people will come and plan and plot and strategize for how to harm us because we've raised our voices. But we made a decision that our personal safety, our personal comfort and security means less than the constitutional violations that are happening behind those prison walls. And so I want to say thank you so much. I cannot say this is a monumental day in Louisiana. We won't forget it. We honor you. We thank you. And we want to let the American people and Louisianians know this is happening in your backyard. Do not give up the pressure. You need to be asking Governor Jeff Landry what is happening with these ICE contracts here in Louisiana. Do not allow our state to be a dumping ground. Do not disgrace our people in this way. We are worth more than that. We are a powerful people. We are a people with hope. We are a people with dignity. We don't deserve to be incarcerated more than any other place in the nation. We deserve freedom. Rumesa and Khalil, Rumesa and Mahmoud deserve their freedom. And we will fight as long as we can until they receive their freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one or two questions if anyone has them.
Amelia Strahan with WWL. My question's actually for you, Congressman Carter. We've been following Ms. Brito's story over the past, week or so, and I was wondering, if you had a chance to speak with her directly, and if so, kind of, what is she saying?
I did have a chance to speak with Ms. Brito directly. She wants to go home. She's afraid. She's confused. She doesn't know why she's here. She was going through the process to become a citizen. She's been here for 17 years. Her husband is a citizen. Her children, her 3 children, are citizens. She volunteers at the public school that her children attend. She went in for her routine checkup with ICE and never made it home. That's tragic. Due process was clearly denied. An explanation to her family denied. She went for a period where she couldn't talk to a lawyer. This is America. This is America. This is not some third world country. This is not some communist state. And so our presence here today is to let Ms. Brito and her family and all the others that are out there, that there are some people that are fighting for justice, that are fighting for what's right. And we're not going to back down. Listen, it doesn't matter. We may be outvoted in Congress, but we will never be outvoiced. And we will continue to fight for Ms. Brito and everybody else, and anyone else that may be in the eye of the target for having the audacity to want to exercise free speech.
Thank you.
Angie Toussaint with KATC. Can you talk to the condition of the facilities? Can you describe what you saw, how they
the
are?
conditions of from a visual standpoint, they were clean. Although we were told that they did some cleaning up today, the facilities appeared to our naked eye to be clean, albeit chilly. Many of the detainees complained of it being extremely cold, which deprived them of sleep, and having the ability to have multiple blankets. Although we were told they could get them, the detainees told us repeatedly that they were denied. So the physical conditions appear to be fine. The temperature is not fine, and of course we don't know what it looked like before a visit or what it will look like after.
Can you describe the day? Apologies, Katie Boyce with CBS News. Could you describe the day in the life for these detainees here?
They spend a inordinate amount of time in tears. They were shaken. They were visibly upset and afraid. They have very small cots that are very uncomfortable, very stiff. Many of them complained of back pain since being here. They get an hour or two outside to recreate and enjoy fresh air, but then they're back inside. Many of them have complained about the food not being of the nutritional value that they would prefer, that there were no fresh fruits, very little lettuce. Even those that were vegetarian, it was very basic.
We understand Jasmine, I don't know if you can confirm or deny this, that she may be pregnant in the facility. I don't know if anyone confirm or deny this, and tell us a little bit about her case and her situation.
She appears to be, she's 6 months pregnant. Yes, she's absolutely 6 months pregnant. She came here when she was 4 months pregnant. It's been a while since she's been able to see a physician. But yes, she is indeed pregnant. And as we understand, we didn't see other people, but we were told by many of the detainees that there are quite a few pregnant women in this facility.
I have a question regarding that unfolding resistance from their detainees. And are they complaining about issues with their pregnancies, or people not told you of any reports of miscarriages or other complications of their pregnancies?
Sure. First, I just want to again thank Congressman Carter for convening us, and I want to just say I hope you all know how fortunate you are to have him. Grateful for his leadership and the compassion that he demonstrated in there. It meant a great deal to everyone today. Yes, I remain very concerned about whether or not people are receiving adequate medical attention and care for a range of issues. Everything from nagging and persistent coughs that will not go away. People with severe asthma, like Rumesa Ozturk, who has suffered multiple asthma attacks and struggled to get the medication that she needed because she was denied due process. They stole her away from her community without the two medications that she uses daily. Many of the women spoke about lumps in their breasts and abnormalities and reproductive concerns and an inability to see specialists and to get adequate care. The issue around food and nutrition, that was also voiced repeatedly both at Gina and at Bazille. And yes, it is our understanding from our conversations with detainees that there are miscarriages that women have suffered, and with Yasmin in particular, that she almost lost her baby twice.
We were also told, to follow up on that, we were told by officials inside that pregnant women were not kept for a very long time, that they were in fact released once they learned that they were pregnant. Yasmin is big. It's very clear that she's pregnant. We were told that in this very facility that there are others who are likewise pregnant and visibly pregnant. So there's a disconnect between what we saw and what we were told. And it's important, and I want to say this also because we've mentioned the names of 4 individuals, but every single individual in both of these facilities matter. And our presence here, while there have been those that have been high profile and you know their names, there are many that we may never know their names, but they're just as important. And we're going to fight for all of them. We're going to fight for fairness, justice, and the democratic way of a democracy that's run by the people.
The last thing I just want to say is just that the oversight component is so critical here, and I appreciate the ACLU being generous and saying that we've demonstrated some semblance of courage here. We're really just doing our jobs. It's our duty to be here. The courage that these detainees demonstrated in their candor and regarding the conditions here, and they are afraid, and I'm leaving here afraid for them. So it is really important. You know, sunlight is the best disinfectant. We have to continue to shine a light here and to pay attention. I am very fearful for them, and they are very fearful for what will happen to them because they spent time with us today and because of their candor.
Thank you all very much.
Can I just say
Yes,
one time?
absolutely.
Yes. We're here at a prison that makes money on what it can save from not providing for the prisoners who are inside. We were told that not one person in this facility receives the health care which they deserve. We were told that when there's a request for blankets at night when it's cold, that they are not able to receive it. We were told that when they ask for the appropriate food for them because of their medical condition, because of their religion, it is very slow to be delivered by a company which makes money by cutting food, by cutting health services, by cutting the basics of life which every one of these people in their humanity deserves. That's what we heard today at these 2 facilities, for-profit facilities. And as a result, it's not just the truncation of constitutional rights, the First Amendment and the Fifth Amendment, but it's also the fundamental compromise of human dignity, which these prisoners have to suffer every single day.
And it's also the cruelty. I just want to point out, I think that, Mahmoud Khalil just had his wife just gave birth to a new son. And he wanted to be able to be with her and asked for permission to be with her. It could have been a supervised visit. They could have put an ankle bracelet on him. It could have been for 5 hours, or it could have been for a day. He was denied that. He's been charged with nothing. He committed no crimes. He's stuck in a detention facility, and he could not be present at the birth of his son. That's cruelty. And again, we have to resist. We have to push back. We're a much better country than this.
Sir, one last question from CBS News. What you described sounds awful. After having this tour today, spending all this time out here, how does this guide what you're going to do about it? What can you do about it right now?
We can do as I often describe. We have 3 C's. We got the Congress for which we serve, and we will utilize every tool in our tool chest to push back against some of these horrific changes and attempts to change our laws. We will use every tool we have in the 2nd C, and that's the courts, to continue to file lawsuits, to continue to press the judicial system to do their jobs, to recognize the Constitution, to recognize the separation of powers between the executive and the legislative branch. And then 3rd, the community. We will continue to use that 3rd C of working with the community, like ACLU, who have been incredible partners, although understaffed, overworked, spread it so thin. And we're going to encourage others to come out and help them. Other lawyers that are out there to offer pro bono help, other community leaders to speak out. We are not going to sit idly by and watch our country taken away from us. And they're like people, both Republican and Democrat, who feel this way, and we want to give them comfort to come out, as the great late John Lewis said, good trouble. Not violence, not hurt, but we're going to be defiant in that. We're going to defend the rights of people. And so the 3 C's, Congress, courts, community.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
That was beautiful.